Hi everyone, my name is Anika Verma and I'm the Chief Communications Officer at the Steamboat. For those of you who don't know, we interview various students who have showcased an interest in STEAM and or leadership through exceptional means. And I'm pleased to announce our next student, Brianna. So before we get started, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I am Brianna Paulino. I am a current high school senior in New Jersey, and I'm also the executive director and founder of the Cleverly Creatives.
All right, so can you tell us a little bit about what Cleverly Creatives is and what made you start it?
Yeah, of course. So, first and foremost, about the Cleverly Creatives, we're a youth-led organization centered on focusing on free and accessible art and writing opportunities for artists and writers all over the globe internationally. And the way we started dates back in 2021. So I was a high school freshman, and at the time, my school didn't have that many opportunities to express writing and art. We didn't have like a literary magazine. So I decided to bring the literary magazine club idea to the principal. And he loved the idea, but he didn't want to implement it as a club for my freshman year. He'd rather wait until I'm a sophomore, mainly because it was already towards the middle of the year and he thinks it's too late for members to join and to be able to participate that late into the year. So based on that, I started thinking to myself, I was thinking to myself that if my school had that little opportunity to share their art, I was thinking what other schools, what other communities have a minimum amount of opportunities to not only express this passion for art and writing, but also the inability to be able to learn more stuff with it, workshops, and so on and so forth. So with that, I decided to start the plans of a youth-led organization, decided to branch it out to internationally instead of only focusing on my school, because I believe that this idea could definitely benefit a lot of young people because I know that I would have loved having a program like this. So I decided to create it for these students that would find it resourceful. So yes, it was like a month planning. So I thought of the idea in February. I started planning it in March, and then April is when I launched it. So it was a long process to do it because I was alone for most of the time. But thankfully, I had like a good core beginner team to start launching and start sharing art and writing. So originally, we were just publishing art and writing then and there. But then as the months progressed and we began to have more outreach, we decided to implement actual programs and webinars that would have students learn more about art, learn more about writing, and to assist them in bettering their craft. And through that, we start implementing programs, workshops, webinars, contests, so much things that we do as of now. So the Cleverly Creatives in April 2021 is drastically different than the Cleverly Creatives now, but it really does show the growth it has gone through the past 3 years. And yeah, that's how the whole Cleverly Creatives was founded.
All right, that's such an exciting story and definitely very inspirational. I have a little bit of follow-up questions.
Mhm.
So, one, as you're a high school senior now and probably moving on further, will you continue with this organization? And if not, what is your plans for Cleverly Creatives?
Wow. That question. Okay. This is a really tough question, actually. Because, okay, a part of I really want to continue it because I want to implement in-person programs, especially in the community that I'm going to. I'm going to be in Philadelphia during my college years, and it's like, a huge city, very diverse and very, very artsy as well. Like they have amazing museums, and I do feel like implementing these in-person programs with school districts. I like that's something I want to implement with the Cleverly Creatives to have like in person, so that way it benefits more one-on-one with the students. So I
Mhm.
really do want to continue it to make it bigger, such as in person instead of like virtual, implement more programs, implement what's the word? Like art drives. However, I'm worried that if my college years become more, what's the word, stressful,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a lot for me to juggle because I'm gonna be double majoring. I probably might do an accelerated program. There's so much things that I probably might do that it might take away my focus off the Cleverly Creatives, but this Cleverly Creatives is my baby, it's my child. I don't really want to let it go at the moment. So as of now, like when I'm a freshman and hopefully by sophomore year, I will continue it. But if I'm ever at the point where it gets too much for me and it's stressful and I can't really necessarily handle um leading this youth-led organization, I'm not just gonna abandon it and then let it die. Because I do
Mhm.
believe that it's very useful and resourceful to so many youths internationally, and I would just pass it on to someone that I definitely trust that has showed me that they had the passion, they had the drive, the determination to actually help out in the organization, so I will pass it on to them, so that way the mission can continue on and hopefully the my successor will be able to make it better or continue on where it's going, so that way the mission continues on for youths globally.
Yeah, I definitely agree because I wouldn't want, like, if I had something like this, I wouldn't want it to end just because I'm like graduating where I've gotten too many responsibilities. Like, I've heard from other speakers that we've had, like, that they start by like having a co-partnership for the 1 year. So they bring in a co-leader and make sure that they're doing well, and then they slowly drop out and lose their influence from the organization that they started. All right.
Yeah.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, I just said, "Oh, wow."
Yeah. Another question I have is what challenges did you face in your journey of starting Cleverly Creatives?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so struggles definitely outreach. That had to be the most difficult, especially in the beginning. Because I remember the first 3 months, it was tough. It was tough getting members, it was tough even getting submissions from students. And that's mainly because I was so new to utilizing social media to my advantage. At the time, I only had like 1 year of using social media because, I got it later than everyone else. But I didn't quite know like how the algorithm works, how to properly market, how to properly reach out to an audience. Like I haven't learned any of that before starting my organization. I haven't learned anything about it at all, which is why the first 3 months were really difficult because I haven't truly grasped onto that knowledge, that information that I should have. So it was
Huh?
definitely really difficult because, emailing, Instagram, like I didn't know how it worked on. But as the years progressed, it definitely got better. I started to learn more. I started to have like members join in that actually know how to market and outreach. So they definitely helped out and put in their input and their experience into assisting in growing this organization. But of course, we still sometimes lack outreach due to inactivity with other members or
Yeah.
my inactivity as well. So outreach has always been our, what's the word? Difficulties, especially in the beginning. Now it's better, thankfully, due to other members are helping in, but that is definitely something that has been quite the challenge throughout these past 3 years.
So what would you say is like the biggest tip you could give on, increasing outreach for anybody who has their own youth organization or is looking to start one?
Definitely utilize TikTok and Instagram Reels. The outreach that TikTok and Instagram Reels has is insane. Even though we barely use TikTok and Instagram Reels ourselves, mostly because we don't necessarily have a videography committee, we're growing one, but we didn't have one due to not that many people being interested in joining that committee. Definitely utilizing TikTok and Instagram Reels is so important because the outreach for that is insane. For example, I'm the Instagram manager for my school's account, my school's
Uh-huh.
Instagram. And we had a TikTok of our college commitment day because everyone was just showing their college commitments, like, that classic trend that was trending.
Uh-huh.
It had 30,000 views, which I did not expect at all, and it's mostly because of the power that Reels has. It has
Yeah.
so much outreach. It's like its algorithm is so random yet specific at the same time. It's incredibly useful, and I feel like any business, any organization should utilize that to be able to outreach. And also,
Yeah.
second piece of advice is definitely follow trends. Trends are really important in terms of like grasping your audience. Like you could even make a trend that connects to your mission, which sometimes it doesn't work, but it does work if like used creatively. Yeah, that's the word. If used
Yeah.
creatively. So those are the two pieces of advice I have in terms of like marketing and outreach. Oh, and another thing that I know one of my bosses told me in terms of marketing is that always use bold colors. Don't use like pastel, bright colors because bold colors is what catches people's eyes to be able to gravitate towards the post. And we have been utilizing bold colors now instead of the bright pastel that we used before. So that's
Uh-huh.
the thing to keep a note, using bold colors instead of bright pastel colors.
Thank you so much for these tips. I think they're really, really helpful. I think I learned a few things too, specifically like the bold colors kind of grabbing the attention and following. Like, when you scroll through Instagram Reels, people go through so many a day, but they're actually still paying attention to them. And I think that's definitely a way to grow your audience. So now I have just like one kind of last question about Cleverly Creatives, or at least I think it's the last one I have. Um, can you tell me like about one specific event or contest or webinar or whatever Cleverly Creatives hosted? So just basically how the planning process went, how you led through with the event, and how much like impact it kind of had.
Okay, so one project that I always talk about because it's so meaningful to me that we've done is our creativity camp. We did it last year because the creativity camp was the first idea I thought of back when I was a freshman in implementing this organization. I told myself, yes, I really want to do a virtual camp. But at the time, I felt like I wasn't able to do so because number one, I was a freshman and I thought I didn't have like that much leadership experience, facilitation experience to be able to implement it. And number two,
Yeah.
a small team. So I waited for a good 2 years and then I implemented it the summer before my senior year. And planning it, it was definitely a hassle, it was definitely a task, but it was a really good challenge to take on. And I love like not difficult challenges, but I love good challenges that like test me to the point where I know I will be proud of this product that I
Uh-huh.
made. And we reached out to organizations to help us out, and thankfully they did. They helped us out as counselors. So we started the planning 2 months before the lessons, the structure of the camp, how are we accepting campers, who's going to be a counselor, what projects are we going to implement within the camp. And then afterwards, we started dividing up the work on who's going to handle the art, the visual art cabin, who's going to handle the poetry cabin, the short story cabin. And then we started creating the slideshows for the event. And then afterwards, like during the event, it was like a good 4 weeks of this camp. Like every day we had meetings, every day we had something new. Like I wanted to be as interactive and collaborative as possible, which is why we added collaborative projects amongst the campers while they are learning new material in terms of art and writing. And thankfully, it was definitely a success. I had so much fun because not only did I get to see amazing art pieces and writing that they have created based on the information that we've given, I also learned new things in terms of their perspectives because we sometimes had meetings of like sharing our ideas, our perspectives about the world in general, because I do believe that having collaborative communication helps a ton in terms of creating new ideas to implement in general for any art or any writing. And when we had these conversations, it did truly open up my mind in terms of a few topics, especially, learning more backgrounds, learn more cultures. It's so essential to have like conversations like that, not only to improve as an artist or a writer, but also improve as a person in general. And I was really thankful to like hear these conversations because it really does show
Yeah.
like my passion like for the arts and how much impact the arts and writing has for everyone, even if it's not related to it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something very meaningful to me. And I'm glad that it was all a success. It was a huge success that we are bringing it back this year. So we are planning our second annual creativity camp, implementing new things. We are going to implement like college career readiness programs since, after getting into college, I have like little networking here and there to have people speak for these specific workshops. So that's a plus, and I'm really excited to see where that goes.
I think that sounds like an exciting camp, and I will definitely, if I get the chance, to recommend it to people who are, interested in learning more about their writings and the arts category. It sounds like a lot of fun. So, one last thing about the Cleverly Creatives, and then I'll move on to a little bit about yourself. So, what one major goal do you have for Cleverly Creatives into the future, kind of?
That's a really good question. I think what I would say is one goal that I have is definitely having, I know I said this before, but this is definitely a goal I really want to implement, like having more in-person programs because we've been like strictly virtual the past 3 years. And though I love doing strictly virtual, I feel like through a computer screen, it's difficult to develop these connections. It's difficult for a person to grasp onto knowledge through a screen because obviously we've seen like this throughout COVID. It was difficult to grasp on information. And I feel like people don't necessarily want to do virtual programs as much as they did back then. So I feel like implementing these in-person programs would be not only beneficial to us as an organization, but beneficial to the people in general because that's our main focus. Our main focus is to help out as many artists and writers as much as possible. And I do believe that implementing these in-person programs will help out. So that is definitely a goal that I do want to reach throughout the next year or so. Just gonna test it out in Philadelphia and see if I could implement it in other locations that my other members live in. And then hopefully that'll be a success. Fingers crossed.
Yes, I definitely agree about the in-person part. Like, there's a different connection, different community you're able to build, and you're able to actually kind of make friends kind of while you're in person with the people that are also in your like camp or whatever competition you're going out to. While virtual is kind of hard because you can't just like have side conversations or things like that. So all right, so next part is just going to be a little bit about other experiences that you've had. So you shared that you are part of a group called Students in Action and part of Student Council. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences in those?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so these were the first two clubs I joined in high school back when it was virtual. And even though they're completely different, they do focus a lot in terms of like community and volunteering. So Students in Action is a mutual aid group that focuses on doing volunteer work for communities within our county. And we usually do it based on, not constructing, implementing drives such as clothing drives, pet food drives, and also implementing various projects such as not creating sandwiches, making sandwiches for shelters, as well as going to food banks to pack food for people in need within our community. So we're very like whole county based community to help out as many people as possible. And I thoroughly love it. I'm really sad that I'm not going to be able to be a part of it since this was the last month to be a part of it. Well, for me at
Mhm.
least. And
Yeah.
it was definitely a great experience. I genuinely loved it so, so much. And it definitely enhanced my love for volunteering. And I just can't wait to continue volunteering when I'm in college. Student council. Student council, I have a lot to say about Stuco. I love Stuco so much. It's been my passion ever since I was in the seventh grade. Like I love school community. I love project planning. It's like a baby to me, kind of in a way. I
Yeah.
thoroughly love it so much because as someone that wants to get into like the education system,
Mhm.
it's my way to help the school community and like better their experience in school overall. So I do a lot of project planning, facilitating, leading since I've been president for the past 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And it has been a very rewarding experience, mainly because it helped me grow certain skills such as confidence, um, easily facilitating stuff, and definitely public speaking, helped a lot with public speaking. But I was able to develop so many amazing connections, not only within my council, but also like outside of my council. Since everyone was able to not necessarily depend on me, but they know they could go up to me anytime if they have any concern. It makes me happy because it shows that, that I'm not a scary person to approach
Yeah.
in general, but also because I've developed so many friendships through that. Like one small little conversation could really lead to such beautiful things. And I was so, so grateful for that overall experience that I know I do want to continue it in college. Probably not as president at the
Yeah.
moment because I feel like it would be like so much bigger compared to high school. But as long as I help out the school community in whichever ways I can, that honestly still makes me very happy and grateful no matter what. But yeah.
Yeah. On that kind of question, I've just kind of wondered. So, What college are you heading out to, and what are you majoring in?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to the University of Pennsylvania for my bachelor's and hopefully master's degree. And I'm going to be double majoring in English with a concentration in creative writing and political science. Haven't decided my concentration yet, but those are the majors I'm planning on pursuing.
That sounds very exciting, and they definitely align
Yeah.
with, the cleverly creatives and your passion for writing and the arts side. So very, very excited for you. And I know that's a great university. It's not too far from where I live too. I live out in Maryland, so I've definitely heard amazing things about it, and I have a few friends going there as well.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Congrats to them.
Yeah, so my next question is a little bit again about your experiences. So, can you tell us what Junior State of America is? As you mentioned that you're, or the director of activism from 10th to 11th grade for that. And also, you're the co-editor in chief for High Tech Voices Literary Magazine. So, can you tell us about that as well?
Yeah, of course. So JSA, again, one of the first clubs I joined was a kind of like a debate club slash talking about what's the word? About current topics that are happening within our society in general. In the first freshman sophomore year, we had a lot of like conversations in terms of very important topics that were prevalent at the time, and it was very, very informative, very intellectual conversations that I was grateful to be a part of because again, it broadened my mind. And also, I thoroughly enjoy talking about topics I'm really passionate about because it makes me feel like I am being heard. So
Mhm.
that's why I genuinely love that club. And as director of activism, I was going to implement various slideshows and programs that relate to in what ways could us as a school to be able to combat different social issues. But unfortunately, due to the difficulties in terms of planning, and I didn't have that many people assisting me at that time, I wasn't able to implement these programs. However, I still had my documents, I still had my slideshows, so that way they could implement it for the year after, which
Yeah.
they have in their meetings. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And as for High Tech Voices, that was the club that the idea club that I brought up in freshman
Oh,
year. So that was technically the Cleverly Creatives, but in my high school, technically. And that's our literary magazine club. And I genuinely love it so much because I was really happy that we were able to have those in my school express their love and passion for the creative writing world as well as the visual art world. And we have produced 2 magazines, so we produce, like, a magazine per year.
uh-huh.
This year is our last magazine, unfortunately, because we were unable to find a successor, but hopefully, as the years progress, they will find a successor and continue on the tradition, and it's definitely another club that I have so much love for because, as I mentioned, I'm a
Yeah.
huge creative writing nerd, so of course, I love it to so much lengths, and it's very definitely a rewarding experience. And I generally love these clubs with all my heart.
Yes, yes. I can definitely understand your passion for it. And we love it when our seniors, like even if we can't implement our ideas, when they leave us down their tips, their resources, it's so helpful. And I can definitely understand that because like I will be taking our senior for our speech and debate team. There she's graduating and she's leaving down all these resources for me to lead the meetings next year. So it's
Mm.
so helpful. I really like appreciate all the work that the seniors do for us and everything that they leave down, all the tips and tricks that we have. So really thankful for all of that. I'm pretty sure your club members are thankful as well. So yeah. All right. So my next question is just a little bit about like what sparked your interest into writing
Mm.
and the arts kind of field.
Wow, that's a really good question. Oh, this is difficult because this might sound funny, but it all started in preschool. I was 5 years old at the time, and I decided to grab a book out of the library because it was reading time. And I grabbed The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And my 5-year-old mind was so mesmerized by it, mostly due to the art and the
Yeah.
way that the art could tell the story on its own without the words. I was so mesmerized by it that I thought to myself, wait, I can do this. I learned how to write recently. I learned how to draw. I could be able to do this. So, ever since then, since I was 5, I would go to the art center almost every day just to write books. at first it was journals of like my life
Yeah.
because my imagination wasn't as expanded, if I
Yeah. And as a little child, that's kind of the one thing you can think about.
exactly. So I was just like, let me just write stories about myself. And then as the years progressed, well, as the months progressed, I started writing stories of like fairies because I had like a fixation about fairies at that time. So I was writing like a lot of stories about fairies. And then through that, so when I started going more into detail into writing as like the years progressed, I started writing more short stories, poems, scripts, graphic novels, literally anything. And I think not besides that moment that like captured my love for writing, I think another part to why writing like gravitates towards me is because through it I could be able to do so much with it. Not only am I able to express my opinions, my thoughts, my feelings, my perspectives on various social justice issues, research, I'm also able to express my imagination, my creativity. Like whatever is in here, I could implement it through words. Like I could tweak the words however I want. I could play with the words to whatever portrayal I want. And I like how it's something that I can have not only for myself, but I could also create it for other people. And there's definitely something very beautiful about it 100%. And it's just there's so much to it that I know for sure it's something for me. And through that, it's I've been continuing to write, I've been continuing to do my passion, do what I love. And I do know that I want to continue this in the future. So that's mainly why writing gravitates towards me 100%.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. I mean, I loved reading as a children. I guess it just didn't stick with me as much as it did for you, like to be able to write and things like that. I can hardly write an English essay, and so that's a whole different story. For me, writing's not for me. I figured that out as soon as I got into middle school. But I think it definitely seems like a different case for you. And I hope that one day maybe I get a chance to read something that you've written or like a book. And maybe I can say that I talked to this famous author one day and I had the chance to interview her. So I think that's really, really exciting. So one of my kind of last questions to know about you is what classes did you take in high school that align with your interest in the writing field?
Okay, so I took a minimum of classes. Hold on, I'll be back. Okay, so continuing on, the class that I've taken. So the thing about my school is that they didn't really give us that much of an option to take multiple classes. There are our high school years because freshman, sophomore year, our schedules were very, very strict. So they started letting us choose our classes during junior and senior year. And I believe there are three classes that I've chosen myself that perfectly assisted me in terms of writing in general, especially creative writing. Junior year, I took AP Lang, and even though it's not the writing that I am entirely interested in because it was mostly informative writing, it did assist me in terms of learning how to style my words, learning how to properly write in an informative and clear, concise way. But another thing is that it helped me to enhance my critical and my reading skills as well. And then senior year, two classes that I felt were very important to me in general in terms of helping me with writing are AP Literature and Creative Writing. What are the odds? Creative writing. So with AP Literature, I was really passionate about that because I was able to analyze poems and short stories and prose, and not only did it help me with my reading skills, but also taught me what ways did these writers do that made their writing so impactful and so powerful. And learning how to pinpoint and analyze these specific literary devices, what's the word? Literary devices, and I had in my head, but themes, like various themes, character development, stuff like that. So learning how they used it to make their messages impactful and meaningful have taught me what ways can I do to make my writing impactful and meaningful as well. And creative writing, I learned a lot of different skills to enhance my creativity to the point where I could make it all myself while also making it unique and different. And learning these skills and also sharing my writing with my class definitely helped me to improve in my writing and improve in my confidence as well with sharing my writing to different people.
Yeah.
So those three classes that I've taken helped me a ton in terms of improvement and in terms of aligning my goals in the creative writing world as a whole.
All right. Thank you so much for telling us about these amazing classes that you took and the things you were able to achieve. So to wrap up our interview, I would just like, is there anything that you'd like to say or anything like you'd like to share? Any tips, anything you'd like to leave for our audience and listeners?
So one tip that I'd definitely give is, I know this sounds so cliche, but I really mean this with all my heart because this tip has helped me throughout my entire high school career 100%. And it is, please do not give up. I know people have heard this so many times, but it's so essential how these few words have for people. Do not give up at all. If you have a goal, if you have a dream, do it, go for it, get it. Do it, go for it, get it. Because if you do give up, then a part of yourself won't feel satisfied because you would think to yourself, I could have done this. I could have done this to reach my goal. I could have done this to get what I want to become a better version of myself. And I'm definitely
Mhm.
saying this because there were a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances that I almost did give up, and thankfully I didn't, because I know if I did, my life would be entirely different as it is now. So I definitely do say to people, don't be scared. Go try it out. What are you gonna lose, honestly?
Mhm.
There's so much opportunity, so much amazing things that could benefit you that you do have to take any opportunity in and achieve your goals, achieve your dreams, because it's so important, especially to be where you want to be. And that's the advice I would give. Again, very cliche, but I'd say it is very essential advice.
Definitely. I mean, if you give up on something, you never know where you could have gotten. You don't know if you could have been successful. I mean, sure, maybe if it didn't work out, you would have failed, but that's okay. But if you tried, at least you know you were able to, that is where you were able to at least reach. So that's definitely a really great tip. And I think while it's a little cliche, it's definitely really, really important. All right, then I want to thank Brianna for joining us this week on our Student Series interview project. And if you're interested in getting interviewed by our team, be sure to check out the form shared in the description. We're always looking for interested students, and we interview anyone between the ages of 14 and 22, but we'll always make exceptions for grad students who are doing amazing work. And we hope to see you back here again on Monday for our next installment. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. And we